Imagine a city of 200,000 people, held hostage by just 300 warriors. This isn't a modern thriller. It's the true story of the most audacious Viking raid in history, the Great Siege of Paris. The year is 885 AD. The mighty empire of Charlemagne is a distant memory, shattered into warring kingdoms. France is a fractured land, a tempting prize for the wolves of the sea. And a storm is gathering in the north. A Viking leader named Siegfried, a man of legendary ambition, has a vision. He unites feuding clans and restless warriors, assembling the largest Viking army the world has ever seen. 700 longships, a floating city of death, carrying 40,000 raiders. They set sail not just for plunder, but for conquest. Their target, the heart of West Francia, the rich and symbolic city of Paris. They enter the mouth of the Seine river, and a wave of terror precedes them. Monasteries, towns, villages, everything burns. Survivors flee with tales of a fleet so vast it chokes the river, of horned helmets gleaming in the firelight, and of a savagery that knows no bounds. As this immense fleet approaches Paris, the city is gripped by panic. The citizens watch in horror as the river turns black with longships. 300 of the deadliest vessels, carrying the elite Viking assault force, anchor before the city's walls. The rest of the fleet, a staggering 400 ships, stretches for miles downriver, securing their supply lines and cutting off any hope of escape. The message is clear. Paris is trapped. Standing against this overwhelming force is one man, Count Odo of Paris. He is a brave and capable leader, but his resources are terrifyingly slim. He has a mere 200 soldiers, a handful of knights, to defend a city of 200,000 souls. The fate of Paris rests on their shoulders and on the city's unique defenses. Paris, situated on an island in the Seine, was protected not by massive walls, but by two heavily fortified bridges connecting it to the river banks. These bridges, the Grand Pont and the Petit Pont, were the keys to the city. Each was defended by a stone tower, turning them into deadly choke points. To take Paris, the Vikings had to break these bridges. Siegfried, confident in his numbers, orders a full-scale assault. Thousands of Vikings swarm towards the bridge towers, their battle cries echoing across the water. They come with ladders, axes, and a thirst for glory. But they are met with a wall of disciplined Frankish steel. Count Odo's men, though outnumbered 20 to 1, hold their ground. They rain down arrows, stones, and boiling oil onto the attackers below. The narrow approach funnels the Vikings into a killing zone. Again and again, the Northmen charge, and again, they are thrown back, their bodies piling up at the foot of the towers. The initial assault is a bloody failure. The Vikings, though ferocious warriors, were also brilliant engineers. Frustrated by the direct approach, Siegfried shifts tactics. His men construct massive siege engines on the river bank. Towering wooden siege towers are rolled forward, their tops level with the bridge defenses. Powerful catapults hurl massive stones, attempting to smash the Frankish fortifications. They even try to fill the river channel with rocks, debris, and the bodies of the fallen, hoping to create a land bridge to bypass the defenses entirely. The siege becomes a deadly game of ingenuity and attrition. For 11 long months, Paris endures. The siege grinds on, a relentless cycle of attack and defense. Outside the walls, the Viking camp is a sprawling, chaotic city of its own. Inside, conditions are desperate. Food supplies dwindle. Starvation sets in, and with it, disease. The once bustling streets become silent, the faces of the citizens gaunt with hunger and fear. Yet, they do not break. Siegfried unleashes a campaign of psychological warfare to shatter their resolve. Captured Frankish soldiers are brutally executed in full view of the defenders, their bodies displayed on spikes along the riverbank as a gruesome warning. He uses prisoners as human shields during assaults, forcing the defenders to fire on their own countrymen. Siegfried himself appears before the walls, offering terms, surrender, and live as slaves. Resist, and every man, woman, and child will be put to the sword. But inside the walls, Count Odo is a beacon of hope. He moves among his soldiers and the citizens, his presence a constant source of inspiration. He shares their meager rations, fights alongside them on the walls, and reminds them of what they are fighting for: their homes, their families, their faith. The spirit of Parisian resistance, forged in suffering, refuses to be extinguished. Stories of Odo's heroism spread. turning him into a living legend. Finally, after nearly a year of unimaginable hardship, a glimmer of hope appears on the horizon. A massive army is spotted marching towards Paris. It is the king, Charles the Fat, finally arriving with reinforcements to break the siege. A great cheer erupts from the city's defenders. Salvation is at hand. The final, epic battle is about to begin. But the battle never comes. King Charles the Fat, a man known more for his caution than his courage, surveys the massive Viking army. He sees their fortified camp, their battle-hardened warriors, and he hesitates. Instead of fighting, he negotiates. In an act that would go down in history as one of France's greatest humiliations, the king of the Franks pays the Vikings to leave. He offers Siegfried 700 pounds of pure silver, a king's ransom, not to attack Paris, but simply to go away. The Parisians watch in disbelief and fury. They had starved, fought, and died for 11 months, only to see their king buy off the enemy. But the Vikings' audacity knew no bounds. Siegfried accepts the silver. He has his plunder, his victory, without losing a single additional man. And then, he adds the ultimate insult. Instead of sailing back to the sea, the Viking fleet sails right past Paris and continues up the Seine to spend the winter plundering the undefended region of Burgundy with the French king's blessing. The siege of Paris was a strategic masterpiece for the Vikings. They proved that with enough boldness and cunning, even the most well-defended city in Europe could be brought to its knees. The ransom paid by Charles the Fat legitimized a practice that would plague Europe for the next century, the Danegeld. It was a protection racket on an international scale. Kings and nobles across the continent would now pay vast sums to Viking armies to prevent them from attacking. This money, in turn, funded even larger and more ambitious Viking expeditions. The siege also made a hero of Count Odo, whose bravery stood in stark contrast to his king's cowardice. He would soon be elected king of the Franks, a testament to his leadership. But the lasting legacy of the Great Siege of 885 was a chilling one. It was a lesson, written in blood and silver, that in the age of Vikings, no wall was high enough and no city was safe from the fury of the Northmen. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more epic stories from history. See you next time.